Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're playing some Vermont because this ship is absolutely incredible and it's been a little while since I've featured it on the channel. Not that long, but given how powerful this ship is, I gotta do it again. I've had some amazing games in this ship recently, and really it comes down to one of the most accurate, devastating broadsides in the entire game belongs to Vermont. Yes, it is a slow ship, with some interesting acceleration, admittedly, but also an incredibly long reload. 40-second reload base on this thing. But you get 457s, 12 of them, that are incredibly accurate and do a ton of damage. So you can really make your shots count here by waiting for broadsides. You do a ton of damage. We did over 40k damage to that Ohio as he was going behind an island. And there's a good 56k into this Schlieffen. Yeah, you can see why I enjoy this ship so much. If you've never played a Vermont before, I highly recommend getting it if you enjoy battleship play at all. This is an incredible ship in World of Warships. Here today, I am running the legendary upgrade. It's not mandatory. In fact, it may be a little bit worse if you're waiting patiently for broadsides to appear. What it does is, instead of concealment mod, you get another reload buff to this ship, allowing you to take accuracy upgrade in slot 6, which you should always be doing, and then also have a bit of reload on top. So you get around like a 35-second reload at that point, which is still longer than standard, right? A lot of battleships have 30-second reload. Some of the fastest ones at tier 10 can even get closer to 20 seconds, like a Republic has 21-second reload. But I'm really in favor of waiting patiently for the opportunities for dev strikes. I love waiting for them, and yet I still like running this legendary mod. And I think that comes down to you still have 14-kilometer detect. While Vermont is a very powerful ship, I think it could do with worse concealment as a bit of a nerf to this thing. I don't know why a ship with this powerful of guns with a full conceal build has the same detection as a Hindenburg. That seems a little bit too good in my opinion. But these guns, they're just so much fun. I have not played through Kansas and Minnesota. I remember it being very bad at the start, although they have buffed them a long time ago now, but compared to when I ground through this line initially, they did give them some speed and maneuverability buffs. Maybe it's a little better, but this was one of those lines where we thought the end reward was really the prize. Grinding through it was challenging. In situations like this, the Kerr first is angled and unlikely to get citadels, even if he was broadside. But that doesn't matter when you have this much alpha damage into his superstructure. Poor GK, man. Poor GK these days. Terrible firing angles, guns that hardly hit anything, and you trade away so much ability from those main guns in the form of armor. But then they give it a giant superstructure that everyone can smash through anyway. It's a very difficult ship to play these days, the poor GK. And even though he's angled now, again, we just aim for superstructure, and there's really not a whole lot he can do. We just get the damage anyway. Quick little 219,000 damage. I'm skipping through some of the boring bits of these first two games, but a really fun time can be had playing Vermont. It won't always work out for you, but you do at least have some very strong AA to deal with carriers. That's the other really powerful element of a Vermont. It's not completely vulnerable. It still will suffer, don't get me wrong, but it is something that you can play into some of those more difficult matchups. But this game is the one I wanted to show you. We're going to be losing this game rather quickly, and yet Vermont can still mount a comeback just with these powerful guns on its own. Well, we also have some good ability to tank. That's the other element of Vermont that's really powerful. It's got some pretty solid armor, even though it is a bit of a box, a bit of a brick, you might even say, to use. It's got a large upper belt that can be farmed down rather quickly. But you have the fast cooldown heals from Ohio and Massachusetts and Georgia. So 40-second heal cooldown. Very powerful, allowing you to take a lot of damage and heal through it rather quickly. To start this game, we're going to try to play close to the cap as much as we can because we want to help on those DD engagements. Yes, it's a slow reload, but as a battleship, you do need to help your destroyers out. Otherwise, you may lose your flank purely to one enemy destroyer torping you out and pushing you back. And that always is going to be a bad time. So try as much as you can to help out your destroyers. Here I'm popping my spotter plane early, maybe hoping we can arc over that island, or maybe just happen to get some plane spotting, I'm not sure. But unfortunately, we cannot. Here I'm also using my incredible acceleration to juke this Minotaur as much as we can and not take that much damage. Although we don't really want to be sitting in Minotaur's range like this for too long, so we're going to turn away. It also gives us an opportunity to shoot that destroyer. 2 hits, front guns, rear guns, all 6. All 6 from the rear guns. That's incredible damage in on that poor Daring. And as a battleship player, that's how you help your destroyers. You get in a little bit closer like this, we're going to take some hits, and we do a ton of damage to that enemy destroyer. Even if we take 20, 30, 40k damage here, that hit into the destroyer can mean the difference between winning or losing your flank. You don't want to die, but it's really important that you help on those engagements because you can do incredible damage to those poor destroyers. Hindenburg here is going to actually speed juke us. Playing well there, although he's rather broadside. And there's a sub on this flank that we do want to deal with. But we'll get away and heal up, I think is a good idea at this point. You'll also notice our heals coming back rather quickly. That helps us to deal with a lot of this bursty damage. We're all on like a third of our HP, getting close to that anyway. And I'm not too worried just yet. They still have a lot of fire coming in for us, but Minotaur we can angle to. Libertad's not the scariest battleship at longer range. And this Hindenburg, I think we've finally caught him. And yes, indeed, the double Citadel to finish him off. We're not even 5 minutes into this game. We've already done nearly 70,000 damage and 2 million potential damage. That's what playing closer as a battleship can do. Take a lot of fire, take a lot of pressure off of your teammates, maybe get a big hit into a destroyer to help on those engagements, and hopefully that leads to you winning your flanks. In this case, though, you'll see it hasn't actually. We've lost our destroyer, and this enemy submarine is kind of getting free reign over our ships at this point. It's going to be a tricky flank to deal with. In a Vermont, we can't get away all that quickly, but we can hold our ground rather well with this speed juking tactic. It's a bit like Libertad actually, although much lower top speed, so it still is easier to hit overall. Libertad broadside at 16, 17 kilometers. We really don't expect too much out of a salvo, even from a Vermont at those ranges. It's just too far. And yet, we get a Citadel. That might be the furthest range Citadel I've ever had on a Libertad. You can see how shocked I was there. We'll take it. We'll take it. You know, if that was more consistent against the Libertad, I don't think I'd have nearly the problem that I do with that ship. If it consistently got smashed whenever it was broadside, it wouldn't be as bad. Also, I think the maneuverability is a bit too much. On Vermont, it's still a very powerful strength to have this incredible acceleration, but it's not as oppressive, I don't think, because this ship can't go to the full speed of a Libertad. We're limited on our top end, and I think that makes it a little easier to hit this ship, even if it can drift around a lot. You should notice throughout this game, and as we get to this late game here, I'm constantly playing with my throttle, as well as my rudder, but we can maneuver around a lot of that incoming fire. Not quite as well as Libertad, but still do a very, very good job. But we're consistently getting pushed back by this submarine. There's not a lot we can do here other than try your best to guess where that sub is going from the pings on the surface. This is gameplay. This is gameplay in World of Warships in 2025. Not a huge fan of this. I'm not going to rant about it here, but we're just doing our best while slowly kiting away. I don't want to kite fully away, but slowly push away. And it's unfortunate, really, that we're pushed so far back. The enemy team has all the caps. How is this game going to last very long from here? Well, the enemy team is going to get a little bit too greedy. As always, whenever you're kiting, you're at advantage. Whenever you're pushing in, you're at a disadvantage. In a game like this, I can't blame them necessarily that they want to push. I myself would be a little bit frustrated with the way the match went if I was on the enemy team and how passive my team is playing. But really, I don't know what we can do against that submarine, I suppose. Schlieffen pushing in, a hero's play, actually. This Schlieffen does incredible work here to get the submarine spotted. We're instantly dropping our ASWs, as that is what is preventing us from pushing back in. I can't really make that play, but a Schlieffen with a Hydro, maybe he can make that play. Real huge props to him for actually doing that. And now we're trying to help crossfire the enemy team on the decap. As always, whenever you push through your flank, once you've won it, you got to be very careful of crossfires coming in from the enemy team over on the other side of the map. You open yourself up to 2 angles. And I am playing very passively. I definitely will admit that. This is not my proudest position to play, yet it is going to result in a lot of damage for us. Fortunately, our Schlieffen takes out the submarine, so now we don't even have to worry about that. Absolutely incredible play by him, and actually he's going for the A cap here. Really, really important to call out our Schlieffen player and how he's pushing in at this moment. Also trying to deal with the Colombo here. I've missed this Venezia, who's done a great job of dodging at longer ranges. It is a little bit hard to hit some of these shells on certain cruisers. Colombo, though, flat broadside, nearly get the finishing shots in. I want to help keep our Petro and our Shima alive as long as we possibly can. Second last heal at this point, and well, that Daring is looking like he's unsure where he wants to play. Does he want to push around? Does he want to go for that YOLO play? I'll try to take out the Colombo, but it's really important that we deal with the Daring here. He's still got some very powerful guns. Back turrets into him yet again. Back turret, best turret, right? And another 6. It's disgusting how much damage you can do when all those shells land into those poor destroyers. He wasn't maneuvering much, to be fair, but still, that dispersion is incredible. It feels like you get better dispersion against destroyers than you do against flat broadside ships with vulnerable citadels at times. At least to me, that's how it feels. Broadside Ven, although he's turning in, we know he's been doing a good job of dodging, so we'll try and lead for that. But still, the enemy team is 150 points away from winning. Our Schlieffen getting the A cap, a hero's play. We're over 3 million potential damage here already. Only 3,500, but still getting that overmatch in. And a Minotaur. Finally, he's been spotted. He's been farming us, peppering us with that AP most of the game. And I'm going to risk this broadside here because we need to get some kills. And a Minotaur, well, he's got enough HP to do reasonably well in the late game. You can't give that much broadside to a Vermont, especially because he's beside an island. That's the key here. There's not a lot of room to maneuver. So we do manage to get the dev strike. It's not guaranteed, but we do manage to get it there. He was very limited in the maneuvering he could do. That's why I'm always talking about island cover and not wanting to go in front of islands. You don't want to put yourself between an island and an enemy ship that could potentially do a lot of damage to you. Venezia, again, he's been dodging well, so here's a strategy you can use. Fire one turret. See how he dodges. He's going to slow down and turn in. That's pretty typical, I would say, in a scenario like this, but still, we want to make sure. So we waste our front turret and then aim for that slow down and turn in. Unfortunately, we miss. Not the best dispersion, but that is a tactic you can certainly use. Our teammates get the Ven and the GK, so now it's just Colombo and Schlieffen. We got a chance. Our Schlieffen has capped A. Incredible comeback here. I'm on the border. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am just not playing this in the most ethical of ways, I suppose. But this is what wargaming allows you to do on the border. It's kind of disgusting, especially with ships with improved acceleration. We get the Kraken, over 200,000 damage in this one, and over nearly 4.5 million potential damage. Absolutely crazy. I think border mechanics should be a little different, to be honest with you, because that's kind of gross how much we can dodge incoming fire on the border. It doesn't pop up that often, to be fair, especially in random battles, but here, definitely, it helped me stay alive. Blind shot the front turret, and we actually hit him somehow, And then Schlieffen gets spotted. So our second salvo here, second portion of our salvo, can get a really nice hit into him. We just have to finish him off before they point out. And look at our hero, Schlieffen. The reason we win this game is not because of me, guys. Let's be honest. I kited. I did some damage. I got some important kills, so I did help. But this Schlieffen play, pushing in at the right time, he timed it perfectly. He caught the submarine. So incredible comeback here for our team. I haven't been this hopeless in a game that we've actually come back and won in a very long time. I thought this one was over. I skipped over some of the downtime in the middle where it was just the sub pinging us over and over and over again, and I was just trying to dodge torpedoes. This was a tough one, and yet we managed to come back and win it. So very cool game, and Vermont's just awesome. It's just such a fun ship. I really, really enjoy playing it. It's one of my go-tos in this game if I'm just wanting to have a typical standard battleship. Hold your salvo, wait for that perfect shot, and then hopefully get the dev strike. This is one of the best possible ships for it. And to be honest, guys, if I had to start a new account again, Vermont is one of the battleships that I would probably try and get very quickly, just because it's so much fun. It is so much fun. Not all of your games are going to look this good, okay? We're definitely showing off some of the better games, but more often than not, I have a really good time playing this ship, even without the legendary mod. In fact, I think there's a really good argument to be made. The concealment is just better. If you're holding your shot, you don't need the improved reload. You just don't, because you're waiting for that right opportunity. Maybe I'm a little too greedy to have the reload in the situations where at closer ranges, you know, against that GK and one of those earlier clips, you can reload a little quicker, get your damage out faster. But for the most part, most of your games, you will be wanting to wait for those perfect opportunities because the ship does so much damage into those broadsides. Of course, you want to go with the Artillery Plotting Room mod 2 here. 11% dispersion is too good to give up. Reload, double reload is kind of funny, but you're going to be missing a lot of salvos. It's a big, big difference. Running steering gears here because I think our heals, this 40-second base cooldown time, more than makes up for the extra little bit of fire damage we take by not running damage control. And you see how maneuverable it is. It's crazy how hard it is to actually hit a Vermont consistently. Even a Minotaur was struggling to hit us there in that last clip when we were just at slow speed, constantly turning and speed juking them. It's very difficult to hit some of these prop mod baked in battleships. Libertad even more difficult, obviously, because of its much better top speed. We only get 24.2 knots here as our top speed, and yet it's still incredible. Libertad's over 30 knots. That thing is crazy these days. I'm going with range mod because I'm greedy for crossfires, but having the extra Tertiverse is probably better. Just allowing you to find that opportune target when it pops up a little bit quicker if your guns aren't in the right spot. As for the build, again, I'm very, very greedy. Heavy AP, Furious. No fire prevention? What is this? I would, if you're unsure, definitely swap out of super heavy AP and Furious. Take something like fire prevention, take even basic survivability, take something like A in defense expert, right? Getting back to those consumables even quicker when planes are around. That is really, really good to pick up. Vermont's awesome, guys. It's such a fun ship. If you haven't played it, definitely go get yourself a Vermont. It is so, so good. Your armor's pretty good, right? 51 everywhere, but it's just large. That's all. And to shoot all your guns, you are exposing quite a lot of this to be smashed by a lot of AP shells. So you want to be angling in time between salvos, trying to angle your ship in, and you certainly can bounce and tank a lot of incoming fire. Longer reloads also mean it's much more effective to be bouncing and angling in between salvos. You spend more time angled versus battleships or any ships that have more DPM. You're sacrificing a lot more to be angled. But that's going to do it for today on the Vermont. I just love playing this ship, so I had to feature it again. It just comes up every so often, every few months. I gotta have a Vermont video just because it's such a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day.